Watch here. We think about how much God loved Abraham, how much he did for Abraham. But honestly, how many of you think about how much God loved Sarah, how much he did for Sarah, and how he honored Sarah? I'm going to show you a story, a true story to encourage you, and how even women are great examples of faith, contrary to what men may think. The Bible is not misogynistic. God loves his daughters just as much as his sons. God loves women just as much as men, and they are equal in value and worth in his sight. That's the true God and his true word. And now I'm going to give you an example of a woman of amazing faith that went, see, even I'm thinking about it, I want to cry. Let me show you what happened to Abraham when Sarah died, and I'm going to explain to you why. Genesis 23, verses 1 to 3. Sarah lived 127 years. Pay attention, guys. She was 90 years old when she gave birth to her only son, Isaac. Isaac was her only son. Right? So that means Isaac would have been 37 years old at this time. And he wasn't married. Pay attention. Isaac was 37 years old, not married, Sarah's only son. Okay? So she died at 127. Isaac would have been 37. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Now watch here. This is why I start crying. So Sarah died in Kiriath Arba. That is Hebron in the land of Canaan. Now watch here. Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Now I want you to see if you catch it. This is why I start crying. If you read it, Abraham was lying before her body. How do I know? Read verse 3. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead. Did you catch it? That means he was lying down before her body. The body of his best friend. And he was weeping for her. You see why it moves me when I read this passage? You see it? I want it to sink in. There it is in verse 3. I told you he's going to move me in my spirit, right? Yeah. See? His best friend died, and he's lying before her body weeping. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, and he bought a cave so he can bury her. I'm going to show you how great this woman was, and you'll see why Abraham wept. And I want to show you something else, though, real quickly about Isaac. Okay? Real quickly about Isaac. Imagine, now put yourself in that situation, and you mothers, put yourself in Sarah's shoes. You were barren all your life, and God gave you a son miraculously through Abraham, and you're 90. Your only son. What do you think you're going to do to that son? You're going to spoil him, right? You're going to love bomb him. You're going to adore him. You're going to make him feel like the most special human being in all the world, because that's your baby, your only son. So for 37 years, Isaac was spoiled by his mother, because that was her darling, her heart. A son at the age of 8. Look how good God is. How good he is to Sarah. He allowed her to enjoy him for 37 years. She waited till she was 90 to have a son. And then he allowed her to enjoy her baby, her only baby, for 37 years. And I imagine that because Sarah had so loved Isaac, and Isaac was so filled with the love and joy of his mother, he didn't feel any need to marry. He was a mama's boy because he didn't marry. He didn't get married until his mother died. Did you know that? So can you imagine how much he loved his mother and how heartbroken and devastated he was when he lost his mother, his best friend who loved and adored him? And here's where God comes in. Watch here. Genesis 24:67. Now, men, You're probably going to cry at this. And I want you to read with understand the implication. Then Isaac brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent. Did you catch it? His mother's tent was still up. He didn't take it down. You understand his love for his mother? He loved her so much, he couldn't remove her tent and pack it up. He kept the tent of his mother, where he would go and cuddle up next to his mother for 37 years. You understand? And I sympathize, or I connect with this, because when you love someone so much, you visit the places where that person lived. I try to go on my birthday to my childhood neighborhood where I grew up, and I pass by the apartment where I used to live, and I'd pass down the street where my mother would come off the bus and walk home with bags of groceries to the apartment to be reminded of her. See what's happening here? You see how deep the Bible is when you don't just read it for the sake of reading it, but you read it to understand it. You read it to be transformed by it. You read it as history given to impact you and change you, encourage you, as Romans 15:4 says. Now watch God's love for Sarah and her son. Knowing that Isaac was heartbroken, knowing that he was lonely because he lost his mother and he was her baby, it says when Rebekah came, he took her into his mother's tent, and he took Rebekah and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Two facts from this. Up until that point, Isaac was depressed, sad, heartbroken, and had no comfort because he kept living in the misery and pain of losing his mommy. The woman that loved him, that babied him, that spoiled him, where he felt no need to be married. So he remained in pain, mourning, sad, until a godly woman came and comforted him and removed his pain. Notice how beautiful your God is in this. Sarah was given a son, and God allowed Sarah to enjoy her son for 37 years. And you better believe that Sarah love-bombed him, just babied him, which is why at the age of 37, when she died, he was still not married, because he had everything in his mother. And when Isaac lost his mother, he lost his world and remained in pain, heartache, and misery until God moved Abraham to send Eliezer to bring him a Proverbs 31 wife, Rebekah. And when he saw Rebekah, Isaac said to Eliezer, "Who is that woman?" And Eliezer says, "That's your wife." He took her into his mother's tent. Notice, he's so attached to his mother, he could not get rid of her tent. And in that tent, his mother's tent, he consummated the marriage. And a woman from the Lord comforted him and alleviated his pain and sadness over losing his mother. See how beautiful your God is? But let me tell you what great a woman Sarah was. Let me tell you why we don't appreciate Sarah as much, and why Sarah, in my estimation, was greater than Abraham. And Sarah had more faith in Abraham and more love for Abraham than he had for her, and more love for God, because she trusted God more than Abraham did. Now you'll say, well, come on, Sam. Yeah. Now watch here. Genesis 20, verses 1 to 7, but I'm going to break it down. Now pay attention here. Genesis 20, verses 1 to 7. And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said of Sarah's wife, "She is my sister. You can have her." Now understand what Abraham's doing. Abraham knows they're going to take her away and ravish her sexually. And Abraham doesn't care. He loves his life more than Sarah's honor. He'd rather have Sarah ravished sexually so he could live And Sarah, because of her love for her husband, is allowing herself to be ravished to save his life. You see what's happening here, ladies? Okay, because I'm going to ask you ladies a question. Of Sarah, she's my son. Now, Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent, and he took Sarah. But God, look how beautiful, wonderful, amazing our God is. Your God is, the God of Sarah is. Abraham, since you're not man enough to defend her honor, I will defend her honor because she's my daughter and beloved to me. I will defend her. Second time you dropped the ball and you failed to protect her and you failed to have enough faith in me to protect you and her. So you took matters in your own hands and willing to have her ravished to spare your life. Shame on you, Abraham. So I have to fight for her. You see, your God? Now this should make you love God to the umpteenth degree. That God loves Sarah and is in love with Sarah because she is his daughter. He comes to fight for her honor because Abraham does not have the courage to do so. God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, indeed, you are a dead man. I'm about to kill you dead because of the woman whom you have taken, for she's a man's wife. But he doesn't know. So look what he says. But Abimelech had not come near her. So God intervened before he touched her sexually. And he said, Lord, Yahweh, will you slay a righteous nation also? Are you going to kill me and my people? Did he not say to me, she's my sister? You see, it's his fault. I didn't know she's his wife. He said, she's my sister. And even she herself said, he's my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands, I have done this, Lord. I didn't know. They both told me they're siblings. I didn't know they're husband and wife. Please, I'm innocent. Look what God says. Now watch here. And God said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. You didn't know any better. For I also withheld you. I stopped you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife. So give him his wife back. For he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. Now, here's the part I want you to focus on. Did Abraham and Sarah lie when they said they were brothers and sisters? No. But I want you to see the greatness of Sarah. The greatness of Sarah. And that's why Peter uses Sarah as an example for you godly women who are married. Genesis 20, verses 12 to 13. But indeed, she is truly my sister. So it wasn't a full-blown lie, right? He was telling a truth, a partial truth. They were brother and sister because they had the same father, different mother. So they were born from different mothers, but same father. So God allowed at that time, thank the Lord, not now, thank God, not now, for half brothers and sisters to marry. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So notice, he gave half the story. He didn't lie. He told the truth. She's my sister, and she said he's my brother, but they didn't give him the full truth, and we're married. But here's the part that should move you. Verse 13. Here's the part that should move you. Ladies and brethren, look at the greatness of Sarah. Pay attention now, because I want you to see this. And it came to pass when God caused me to wander from my father's house. Now watch her faith. This is where you should be moved. That I said to her, this is your kindness that you should do for me. Sarah, if you love me, then please do me this favor. What is it? In every place, wherever we go, say of me, he is my brother. Please don't say you're my wife, because these are godless people who will murder me because you're so beautiful to have you. And you know what Sarah did? Yes, Abraham. In order to spare your life, I will grant you this request. I'll allow myself to be put in situations where a man will take me away to ravish me sexually, all because I love you so much to protect you from being killed. So Sarah loved Abraham more than her own dignity and honor. Abraham loved himself, loved his life more than he did Sarah. See, who had greater faith? Who had more faith and love? Abraham or Sarah? Be realistic to the text. Abraham is saying, I cherish my life more than I cherish your honor. I'd rather have you ravished. I'd rather have men ravish you, commit adultery with you, defile you, so that I could live, than trust God to enable me to fight for you and protect you and safeguard your honor. And then Sarah says, I love you more than my reputation. I love you more than my honor. I love you more than my well-being. And because of my love for you, I will allow myself to be ravished by men to save your life. She showed more love for Abraham than Abraham showed for her, and more faith in God. And that's why God said, Abraham, what are you doing? You are my friend, and you know I'm God, and you know I'm with you. You don't have enough faith in me that I will fight for you and protect you and safeguard her honor? Why do you have to be conniving and plot to protect your life by saying she's your sister and then creating a situation where she'll be ravished instead of trusting in me? See? And you see why God is beautiful? Do you see now how beautiful God is? And you see that your God is not Allah of Muhammad. He's not a misogynist. He doesn't hate women. God absolutely loves and adores his creatures, males and females equally. He loves his daughters just as much as his sons. And he wants what's best for his daughters, not just what's best for his sons. And he came and he fought for Sarah. And he showed Sarah that I'm not only faithful to Abraham, Sarah, I am your God as well. And I am faithful to you as well, because I love and adore you. And that's why I chose you to be the mother of the covenant people. Which leads me to another passage. Okay, let me show you this. When God says that he's going to give Sarah a son, and he will be the heir of the covenant, Abraham is incredulous because he's around 99 years old at that time, and Sarah's 89. Okay, look what happens here. Look at God's love for Sarah. Genesis 17:15 to 22, but now we're going to break it down in several sections. Then God said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, she shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah. You know what Sarah means? It's going to make you cry. It's making me cry. God changed her name. You know what Sarah means? Princess. Princess. Because she was God's little princess. You know how you say daddy's little princess? Literally, Sarah was heavenly daddy's little princess. See, when you see it from that perspective, it should move you in your heart how much the Lord loved this woman, his daughter. She was heavenly daddy's little princess. Abraham, this is my princess. Take good care of my daughter because I've entrusted her to you. Now watch here. Why is he going to call her princess? And I will bless her. Watch her. And also give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples shall be from her. You see what God is saying? I'm not just going to give you a son, because I couldn't give you a son from anyone. I could have made Ishmael your son, the heir. No, Abraham. I'm going to give you a son from Sarah, because I love Sarah as much as you, and I want to honor Sarah, and I'm going to make her seed, that you sire from her, the heir of the covenant, so that people will know I'm not just your God, I'm the God of Sarah, because she is heavenly daddy's little princess. I'm about to cry for that one. You see his love? See, this is how you got to read the Bible. Brethren, this is how you got to read the Bible, because this is real history, and see what God is saying in these words. But what we do, we just try to rush through it. Come on, let's get it. Okay, I got to read a chapter 2. No, that's not how you read it. But then Abraham is incredulous. Come on, man, I'm 99 years old. She's 89. I already have Ishmael. God, you've already given me Ishmael. Just bless him and get it over with. Hey, watch here. Look at his reaction. Look what he says right here. And then watch what God says. Look at his love for Sarah. Now you see his love for Sarah, right? You guys see his love for Sarah? Because all this time, you guys see his love for Abraham. And you keep forgetting how much he did for Sarah, how much he loved Sarah, how much he adored Sarah, because Sarah was daddy's little princess. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed. He laughed because you know what? You got to give the man a break. I'm 99 years old. I'm tired, God. You already gave me Ishmael when I was 75. I'm sorry, not 75, because he was 14 years older. So I suck at math. So 14 years older than Isaac. So Abraham was 100. So he's around, 85, right? If my math is not bad. Yeah, 85. Yeah, around 85 years old. I suck at math. Just bless Ishmael. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born to a man who's 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who's 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. There you go, brother. Oh, 86. Thank you. He's here. If you want to come on later, I'll bring you on. Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. See that? Yep, 86. I told you I suck in math, right? Now look what God says. He insists. Watch here. Watch here. We think about how much God loved Abraham, how much he did for Abraham. But honestly, how many of you think about how much God loved Sarah, how much he did for Sarah, and how he honored Sarah? Did you see how Abraham is kicking Sarah to the curb again? Just bless Ishmael and get over it already. He's throwing Sarah to the curb. Indirectly. I'm not saying directly. He's not thinking about his words. Hold on. If God blesses Ishmael, that means he's going to honor Hagar above Sarah. I don't care, man. Just get it over with and bless Ishmael. Do you see it again? Ladies, are you seeing Abraham's lack of faith here? Instead of being zealous for the fact, Sarah, my best friend, my partner, is going to be honored alongside of me because it's going to be our seed. They'll be there, the covenant. Just bless Ishmael and get over it, right? You see what he did again? You see what, again, man, I'm saying, yes, Sarah, my bride from my youth, we're going to have a seed that will be the heir of the covenant through whom the salvation of the world will come. She's 90, 89, but going to 90. I'm 100. I got Ishmael. Just bless him and, let us get this over with. But if he blesses Ishmael, that means he exalts Hagar over Sarah. Abraham, now watch God. Watch God. Look what he says. Look at his love for Sarah. Ladies, Kyrie in Greece, all of you, are you seeing? Now look at how much he loves Sarah more than Abraham. We know that because he's God. Then God said, no, Sarah, your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. You see that? No, Abraham. I want to honor Sarah. I want to exalt Sarah. I want to bless Sarah because Abraham, you may not know it, I love and adore her as much as I love and adore you. No, Abraham, I will not exalt the son of the bondwoman over Sarah. That will not happen. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant and with his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful, multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. Because he's your son, I'll bless him. But, watch here, 21. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac. Notice again, he emphasizes the name. Whom Sarah shall bear to you at this set time next year. Then he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. You see how many times he's mentioning her name to honor her? No. He could have just said, my covenant was Isaac. No, but he has to emphasize, no, Sarah, your wife, shall bear a son, and will give his name Isaac. He could have just said, no, it will be Isaac. And then again, look what he says, just to show you how much he loves Sarah. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear. You see? Sarah, Abraham. Sarah, not the son of the bondwoman, Sarah. He didn't have to mention it. He could have just said Isaac, because they already mentioned Sarah's going to give birth to Isaac. But he's showing you and I, because what did Romans 15 verse 4 say? What did Paul say? These events, these are true historical events, preserved, designed by God to point out to greater truths and realities and examples for us to emulate. These events were given in Romans 15:4 to encourage you, to comfort you, and to exhort you unto patience. Do you see how beautiful your God is? And this is why, of all the examples that the New Testament writers could give for godly women who are married, all the examples that the New Testament writers could have quoted to exhort godly wives to godliness and submission to their husbands, God chose Sarah. 1 Peter 3 verse 6. Notice your example, women who are married. 1 Peter 3 verse 6. As Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters you are, if you do good and are not afraid with any terror. You see the example of a godly mother, a godly spouse, for other godly mothers and spouses to emulate? You Christian sisters, you daughters of the living God, through faith in Jesus, being baptized into Christ by the Spirit, you, if you obey the Lord and honor your husbands, you are the daughters of Sarah. See that? It moves me in my spirit. Is it clear that God absolutely loved and adored Sarah? He loved her and adored her just as much as Abraham. Is that clear? Now you understand why when Sarah died, why Abraham wept at her body. This is why I was crying today when I read it. Here it is again, Genesis 23, verses 1 to 3. Look at his reaction. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Now watch. If you read 3, it tells you he was lying by her body. He was by her body lying, because notice what it says. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead. You catch it? If he's standing up, that means he's laying besides the body and he's weeping for her because his soulmate, his flesh, was torn away from him and he lost her for a season. And you better believe, as he's weeping, he's reflecting on her goodness to him. He's reflecting on the love she showed for him and how she honored him, and she was willing to be raped and ravished to spare his life. She was truly his flesh and his best friend. May Christian marriages be this way, in the sense of not like Abraham, but in the sense that you in Christ who love Jesus, you and your spouse become best of friends and inseparable and totally sold out in love with Jesus, so that when one dies, the other will be a witness to your godliness. The other will be a witness to your faithfulness and your holiness, so that when they ask you about your spouse, you can say, I saw Jesus in him. I saw Jesus in her. And if you're a husband, you can say, she was my Sarah.